What's up, YouTube? It was Zach. Listen to me, and listen to me really good. Because I know a lot need to hear this. And honestly, I can't believe I'm going to have to say this. But I will. Because I know a lot need to hear this. Not every disability is physical. In other words, not every disability can be seen. For example, I was born with what's called level 1 spina bifida, which only affects my balance. Now, spina bifida, like my level 1, is hard to really see unless you're looking at a X-ray and it's how your spine is curved. My spine is curved the opposite, but only by a little bit, only by just a little bit. And it's one of those things that you got to sit there and you got to look at it. You actually got to stare at it to see that curvature, as how small that curve is. But it was enough to cause me to have trouble with my balance and have to have a wheelchair. Now, as you can see, I've got a wheelchair. As you can see, I got the wheelchair. Now, because of that wheelchair, I've never been on dates, relationship, anything. Instead, I was always the one that had mind games. Everybody played a lot of mind games on me. Now, not everybody, but a lot of people. I'll put it that way. Over the last, it's about the last 19 years, if I'm doing the math right in my head. But what I'm saying to you is this: take that wheelchair away from me, and what do you have? You have a person, a 100% human being, with a 100% different, also 100% true story about them. And that also goes for somebody that has a walker, crutches, a walking cane, or somebody that has a prosthetic. I didn't think of the right word. Maybe somebody has a prosthetic leg, prosthetic foot, prosthetic hand. Just because that prosthetic doesn't make that person any different. They're still 100% human, with the 100% different, but also 100% true story about them. And a lot of people seem like they just don't understand that. Because, and I'm saying this from experience as well, for being 37 and never been on dates or relationships. And I say relationships meaning just one, but I'm talking about last 18, 19 years. But just because you can't see a person's disability doesn't mean it's not there. It's there. It's just as notice you don't notice it. Um, you might see somebody that's just walking, you know, just like you see everybody else walking when you maybe you go into a store or a mall or whatever it is that you go and you see somebody just walking around. Well, just because they're walking around doesn't mean that they don't have a disability. Because some disabilities, and I mean this in no disrespect, but some disabilities are mental. You know, somebody might have Alzheimer's, which, you know, I myself lost my grandma from Alzheimer's disease. And that is one of the hardest things to see. Just trust me. You know, somebody, you know, or somebody can be, you know, could cause, you know, could have cancer that could cause them to, you know, walk different or do something different because of that cancer. And that's what a lot of people don't get. Just because a person might look like you know like they don't have a disability doesn't mean that they don't. Sometimes it's physical, as to where you can see it, you know, or you know something that you can actually tell that oh that person does have a disability. You know that here's what they were talking about. You know, the person might say, "Yo, yeah, I have a disability," and you can actually see what they're talking about. I mean, you can't see the disability itself, but you can see, you know, what effects that they have that are the cause of that disability. Um, you know, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand that, and that's what a lot of people need to understand. Um, like I said, I as one um person out of I'm sure I know plenty others, many others, more than I can count, go through the same thing, you know, and because of their disability. Um, it's just like I told you countless times. I'll put it that way. You know, I've had a buddy that has cerebral palsy. That causes me. He calls me his big brother because I stuck up for him and got him the right person to tell a name to that was bullying him. And now he calls me his big brother, and as I call him my little brother. But you know, he got bullied because of his disability, which is cerebral palsy. Again, you can't see that you can't see that disability. I mean, you can see the scars, you can see the effects of that disability, but you can't see that actual disability. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, and again, it's I know it's more complicated to understand than not, but a disability can't be seen. You might have somebody that has a mental disability, and I mean no disrespect to anyone, and I mean that no disrespect to anyone. Um, but I mean that there's a thing that's that you need to know the difference. physical disability, you can actually tell. I mean, tell somebody has a disability. Now, again, there's also mental disabilities, which those you cannot tell. That you can't really tell somebody has a mental disability. Um, and I said because again, I look at somebody for who they are, not for what they were born with. If they were born with a physical or mental disability, I see somebody for who they are, and that's what a lot of people need to do is start seeing people for who they are and not their disability. Because, like I said, some disabilities are physical, can be noticed, and some disabilities can't be noticed. So keep that in mind. Again, yes, I am making this a working paying job. At least I'm in the process of trying to do that. Again, if and when YouTube does pay me, after I meet all the requirements, 1,000 subscribers, and then for either 4,000 watch hours or 10 million short views. I'm trying to do all that in my head. Um, then I should get paid. But as when I do that, if I do get paid, then I'm going to take what I make and donate it to hospitals, cancer centers, um, any place that I can donate to help to make sure somebody, gets the help they need. Because that's my goal is to be able to help others. Again, that's how I was born and raised. But I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate all the comments, the likes, the shares. And like I said, if you haven't yet, do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Also, turn on notifications wherever if they're somewhere down here on the bottom. Uh, turn on notifications so you know when I'm going live or posting on YouTube. And like I said, let me know your questions. And I'll work on those and I will get those done for you. And I will be able, to answer those questions. So again, with that said, keep going, keep being you. Much love, and let's get it.